Good afternoon, welcome to GrainTV. It's April 9th, 2014. I'm Logan Burgess. To my right here is Brock Shimano to help break down a WASI report day in the grain market. Jumping into the quotes here, you can see corn was off 4 3/4. Soybeans picking up some ground, up 12 3/4 for the May contract. Chicago wheat down 12, Kansas City wheat up a penny. Brock, the big action this morning was ending stocks in general. Supportive numbers here for corn and beans.
Yeah, we did see revisions lower that were kind of surprising for both corn and soybeans. If you take a look at this table here, you can see that last column is what was reported in this morning's report. Coming in quite a bit below analyst expectations on corn. The big driver there was exports being up 125 million bushels for corn. Soybeans also saw a revision higher for export sales. We saw them get moved higher by 50 million bushels, but we also saw imports moved higher by 30 million bushels. Crushings were down a bit, seed was up a little bit, and residual use was down a little bit. So overall, for soybeans, we saw a revision lowered by 10 million bushels, a little bit larger than what analysts were expecting, and wheat came right in line with analysts' expectations. So not a big story there for wheat. I think the interesting thing I take away from this report and looking at some of the price action right after the report is we saw corn and soybeans initially moved sharply higher after the report as a result of these ending stocks. But ultimately, by the end of the day, we were actually trading lower than we were trading right before the reports were released.
Yeah, so it seems like initially bumped the markets higher. Late in the day, though, people were selling this market, corn in particular. One thing that may have been weighing on the corn market a little bit in today's action was a larger than expected Brazilian corn figure today from the USDA. As you can see here, coming out 2 million tons higher than what we saw in March, and that was above what analysts were expecting coming into today's report. So on the international front, that was kind of the one surprise that we saw in today's figures, and that may be where it can take some of the wind out of the corn market right now, because we know that export sales have really been the driver of this kind of bull run that we've been seeing in old crop corn. So a larger crop out of Brazil is not good for that long term. That could be one thing here to keep an eye on moving forward. Brock, let's focus a little bit more, though, on the landscape right now for the May corn contract. As you said today, we moved higher, ultimately ended up lower here. Do you think that this is somewhat of a signal here that the trend may be ready to change?
I think it is a little bit of a signal that we could take some information away from. If you take a look at this last candlestick here, you can see that wick on that candle was very large. We went up and tested 519, which has been a near-term high here, but ultimately, like you said, we did end up lower. So this kind of signals that even with a bullish report today, we ended up negative. That could signal that the steam is running out on this bull trend, and perhaps we're seeing the ends of this trend right now. A couple areas I'm going to be watching as we move back lower is going to be 490 as a support area, and then below that 480. So those would be a couple of key areas to watch here moving forward.
As I said, Brock, the big thing that's going to drive both corn and beans on the old crop is going to be the export sales. That's been the real focus. We'll be getting those numbers out tomorrow here from the USDA. As we know, the last several weeks, very strong export sales of corn have been reported. Not necessarily the same case for soybeans. We've seen China be a net canceller several weeks here out of the last 2 months. So we'll have to see what we get tomorrow in terms of those export sales. We'll help keep you posted on that front here on GrainTV. Just a reminder here, we have a great mobile trading app now available for the iPad, iPhone, Android, and tablet. If you want to view live quotes out of Chicago or monitor your trades from the cab of the planter this spring, visit us over at grainhedge.com. You can take a no-obligation trial, take a free demo for 2 weeks, and see if it's something that you're interested in. Thanks a lot for joining us here on GrainTV. We'll see you tomorrow for the export sales report.